Hey guys, welcome back to Reverse 1999. In today's video, we're going to be talking about who to reroll for. Now, this is not going to be the reroll guide. I'll do a guide on the process and stuff like that in my next two videos before the launch. So if you're coming to this late, I'll leave that linked in the description if you're wondering about the actual reroll process. But I wanted to look at the banners and my sort of thoughts on processes and what I'd be aiming for depending on what banner I am going for. I will touch on also the beginner banner, but in general, I think if you're rerolling this game, you kind of want to be going for that other extra 6-star because all these beginner banner units are pretty decent. So I feel like you want to reroll on one of the other banners, get a character you like, and then whichever one of these you get, you're pretty safe with them because they're all quite decent. Now, I'm going to just talk about the characters because I know what's going on with their kits and stuff like that. But if you do want to check them out, I'll leave a link to Pridewin in the description. They got a whole database. The frustrating thing with the game is that the index in the game, unless you've got a character, you can't see them. So a website like this is fantastic to get all the resources and read skills if you're curious to go into it a bit deeper. But let's quickly talk about the beginner banner. Now, the beginner banner, you got Regulus, Eternity, and Lilia. Now, I kind of think Regulus and Eternity are probably the two quote-unquote better ones, but I personally really like Lilia because I like the crit play, getting crit effects, extra actions, stuff like that. But let's go through them quickly. My head is covering Regulus, but basically she's a strong sub DPS with easy crits and defensive support in her kit. So the reason I say she's a sub DPS is because she has this ability where she gains extra crit if she didn't take action in this turn. So you're going to use her every other turn, get an extra 50% crit, and then you're going to reliably crit, which is a really strong effect to have in a sub DPS unit. And like I said, her abilities do have some of those defensive supports, reducing Moxie, stuff like that, which is going to benefit your team. You have damage avoidance in her ultimate as well. So that's why she's basically a sub DPS that also offers a little bit of defensive support. Then we have Eternity in the middle here. Now, she's a strong DPS with self-sustain, which is always nice to be able to heal yourself. At Insight 1, now Insight is your Ascension, which you can do on any character. That Insight is not your dupes. So at her first Ascension, which is just easy to do, she gets immunity to dots, which is really, really fantastic. And she also has a heal reduction of 50% for enemies in her kit in one of her skills, which isn't too bad as well. Then we go into Lilia. Like I said, strong DPS. She's crit-based effects. So her ultimate, if she crits, she gets lifesteal. Her single target attack, if she crits, she'll do another attack, like a kind of like a follow-up attack, but it's counted as an extra action, meaning that if she kills an enemy with her single target attack, but it's a crit, she'll actually use her bonus attack on another enemy, which is kind of handy. But the thing is, she needs investment because she needs to be critting, so she needs a good Psycube or weapon, if you refer to that from other games, and she needs good insight, which is Ascensions, because at insight level 3, she's going to double the crit rate that she gets on her Psycube, which, you know, you can get like easily get 10 to 12 crit rate on a Psycube, meaning you're getting 20% essentially. But also her Insight 2 gives a flat 10% crit rate. So you do need to invest into it to get those crit rates up, to get the extra effects. So that's the one downside to her. And she doesn't have any of the supportive effects that the others have. That's why I think the others two are generally better. But me personally, I really like Lilia because I like the playstyle. But that is them summarized. Like I said, I don't recommend rerolling for them. I think they're all fantastic. I recommend rerolling on the banners. Now let's talk about my strategies on these banners. Now, there's definitely other strategies. Don't just look at this and go, oh, Volker said this is what you have to do. No, this is just my personal opinions on what I've experienced in the game so far and what I've learned. So you can reroll for whoever you want, do whatever you want. It is completely up to you. It is a PvE casual game. These are just some thoughts that I have. So let's go through it. Now, we will have two exclusive banners at the launch of the game. We got the Sotheby banner and we got the A-Knight banner. Then we have the general banner. Now, down here on the general banner, it has Regulus and Druvis, who I hate saying that name. It's got them on the banner, but they're not rate ups for it. It's just a regular banner with your standard banner characters that are all at the same rate. So those are the three banners we have. Now, rate up banners share a pity. Standard banner has its own pity. Just keep that in mind. So in general, if we're looking at rolling, we'll go through banner by banner. Now, with the Sotheby banner, Sotheby is a healer and a poison unit. Now, she's an okay healer at the start of the game. She's not crazy. She's not like broken or anything like that. However, in 1.2, they introduce a character called Changeling, which I'll just show you here quickly. If I can see her in Pridewind. Where is she? Where's C? C. There she is. So Changeling, who is basically a dot damage dealer who pops dots, deals extra damage with the poisons and stuff like that. Now, poison is also true damage. So that is what we have there. So she becomes the healer in the poison meta in 1.2. Now, based on what they've told us with how they're speeding up the progression on global, we should get 1.2 at the start of December. So if you want a healer that's going to be very, very meta for 1.2 at the start of December, then she is the one to go for, in my opinion. Now, on this banner, we also have two other units. The main one that I look to, and this isn't saying the other units are bad, but Charlie is a great DPS. Ideally, she wants 3 dupes, but because she's a 5-star, she's easier to get 3 dupes. Now, the reason Charlie wants 3 dupes is because she's got one of her abilities is that when she's below 50% health, she does extra damage. However, at 3 dupes, where normally the dupes in characters only just increases basic multipliers and stuff like that, but hers, it increases that so that when she's below 80% health, she gets the extra damage. And it's much easier to maintain below 80% health than it is to maintain below 50% health. And when you use this, she can be below 80, you can attack with her, gain that benefit, and then straight after she attacks, you just heal up and then you're ready to go again. So she's fantastic. Also, with her insights, she has buffs on her insights, which her other ability is going to deal extra damage if she's in a buffed state, which means she's got a passive buff that starts at every round. If she's above 50%, it's a damage increase. If she's below 50%, it's a defensive increase. But either way, they both count as buffs that are going to activate her extra damage on her other ability. So she's just a really good 5-star DPS. Like I said, she wants 3 dupes. So that's probably what I'm going to do on my rerolls. I'm going to reroll for an early Sotheby and also try and get one with a good amount of dupes of Charlie as well. That's kind of going to be my ideal reroll. Moving on from that, and I'm going to mention something about if you get off banner as well. Because down here we have Centurion, who I'll talk about in a sec, but she is the main one from the standard banner that I really like. There's some other good supportive type characters as well, but I just don't rate them as highly personally. I just rather get a solid DPS, in my opinion. So Centurion is crazy, and if I get her as an off banner early, then I'll just keep running up that banner. I'll have Centurion, I'll get Sotheby, and then I'll basically just stop pulling until 1.2 comes out and Changeling comes into the game. So that is my kind of idea. Now, as we look to the other banner, now I think A-Knight is a good unit. His problem is that he's an amazing AoE unit, but he lacks the single target focus. So that's him. I think he's a really cool unit though, and I'm tempted to roll for him instead of Sotheby, but I'm kind of being a bit of a meta slave, so I don't know what I want to do. But he is the only high rarity spirit unit. I think all the others are 4-star or below in the game. Even at 1.4 in CN, he's still the only spirit unit. For those that don't know what spirit is, it's basically dark element. You got dark and light, and then you got the 4 general elements. But in 1.4, they bring a Psycube into the game that actually really makes him a lot better. The Psycube, essentially, if you don't have advantage over the enemy, it gives you bonus damage. And then if you're a spirit unit, it gives you even more damage. So it basically just amplifies A-Knight to do a ton more damage, essentially. So that's when he does get more viability. He's still not a bad unit at launch. He's just not like the best DPS, like something like, not on the level of something like Centurion or something like that. But on his banner, the thing is, we do have another unit in there, which is Bighorn Bloom. I don't know if I'm saying that name right, but she's one of the 5-stars. And she's a strong offensive debuffer. But she's more focused around reality damage. So you've got 2 types of damage. You got reality and mental damage. The way I think about it is reality is like physical in most games. Mental is like magical damage. That's how my brain sort of processes it. But she amplifies all damage, but further amplifies reality damage. So you want to be using her with a reality damage dealer. But she also does some pretty decent damage herself. On top of that, her ultimate is going to lock the enemy from using ultimates. but if they're immune to that, then she will reduce their moxie. So either way, you're going to lock an enemy out from using their ultimate, which is fantastic. So I think she's a really great support. Now, the other unit in there is I can't remember her name, but she is a beast, sort of defensive shielding type unit, which I like. The one issue for me is that because I've been using her, she only has a 1-turn shield, which kind of feels clunky at times. It feels like you're using a lot of actions to keep that shield up every turn. And it just doesn't, it just feels clunky to me. So she's not the one I'm looking for as much. Like I said, Beacon Bloom is the one that I like more in that banner. But that's what you're kind of looking at if you go pull on this banner. You kind of want to get an early A Knight in, first 20-30 pulls, and then hopefully get a Beacon Bloom, and then there's your damage and your debuffer, and then you can just go pick up the 3-star healer if you want to get your team underway. Now, like I said, on the standard banner, if there's any other character you like that is not A Knight or a Sotheby, then just pull on the standard banner. And that's your best chances to get them. But once again, the standard banner isn't contributing to your pity on the exclusive banners. But the reason Centurion, she's just great damage, self-sustain, she's got self-moxie gain, she's got damage amplification. Now, her self-sustain does come at inside 3, but she's just a crazy all-round damage dealer. She's got single-target capabilities, she's got AoE capabilities. She's just an all-round great damage unit. And I feel like she's going to be like the best quote-unquote DPS to have at the start of the game for just an easy playthrough if you want to. So that's why I said if you're pulling on the other banners and you do pull a Centurion as an off-banner unit, that's actually a great pull, and that would be a reroll that I would consider keeping, because then you've just basically got one of the best DPS in the early game, and she's still a great DPS in the game. So you've got one of the best DPS, and then you've got yourself on a guaranteed pity on the next one. So if you pull her as an off banner, I think it's worth it. But if you want to target her, the easiest way to target her is pulling on the standard banner, because then you don't have to deal with the 50% chance of getting the other units. So that is what we're looking at. Like I said, this is not how you have to do it. This is just some thoughts I have. I always recommend you guys go watch other creators, get other opinions, jump in Discords, because this is just my opinion. And I think if you're playing a game and you're real serious about it, you should get as many opinions as you can before you make your decision. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.